So this holiday memory is hard, but it's also pretty special. Special. This would have been Christmas of 1999. I was a senior in high school. I was rebellious. Didn't want anything to do with my parents, which is kind of hard to say now because I'm pretty close to both of them. It's hard not going a day without talking to them, but when I was a teenager, I was a different person. I went through a space of time that I'm not proud of, but we all learned from our mistakes. Senior in high school and living on my own, and there were only a few things in life that mattered to me at that point, and one of them was my PlayStation. And I'm kind of a car guy, and my dad definitely is. And we had bonded over the initial game in this series, Gran Turismo. And Gran Turismo 2 had just come out right before Christmas of 1999. And, I'm living on my own. And I was reluctant to come over for Christmas. I'm like, why bother? I was only thinking of myself. There's no gifts under the tree for me. I don't even live here anymore. Why would they bother? But my dad, he got me Gran Turismo 2 for Christmas. I played the heck out of this game. It was about a month or two later after Christmas, I moved back home. Finished out my senior year living with my parents again, trying to, rebuild the relationship I kind of severed. But I remember I was doing a work release program in high school. So I got out of school early and then I'd go to work, a few hours later. So I had some time in between school and work. And I remember putting in a lot of time in Gran Turismo. And I know my dad did too. We absolutely loved the series. We played, 1 through 4 pretty religiously together. Comparing cars, racing against each other when you put memory cards in. But for my dad to, think of getting this game for me at Christmas when we really weren't on talking terms, just kind of, looking back now, it tells me that ultimately, there was nothing I could really do to make him so upset that he wouldn't recognize me on a holiday. That's why this game's pretty special to me. I will be honest, I wish I still owned my original copy, but this is not it. I had to replace it years later. I do have a nice copy of it, but it is not the one my dad purchased for me. Again, I did have a rough relationship with my parents, and it's all on my part. It wasn't anything they did. I was just going through that growth spurt. But prom, my senior year, I asked my dad, because I wasn't really good with money then, and I asked him to, help me out and help me rent my tux for prom. And he wasn't a big fan of who I was going with. And again, I had, done some things to kind of lose my parents' trust. And so ultimately, I was turned down on a loan or, him just funding it. So what I had done was I had sold my PlayStation and all of my games to basically fund my prom evening. That was the dinner out, my tux rental, buying the corsage, whatever I needed. And I think I didn't realize how many games I had. And I think I ended up, buying a car stereo for my car too at the same time, just because it's like, well, I'm going to sell my PlayStation and might as well just let the games go with it because I'm not going to get another one. I did eventually obviously get another one, but in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have figured out another way, because video games are a pretty important part of my life these days. Whether it's just nostalgia, the memories, or bonding with video games with my son, or trying to. I mean, him and I definitely like a different type of game, but I do try. I reach out and say, hey, why don't we play this together? And usually I get kind of turned down. So maybe we'll find that Gran Turismo that I bonded so much over with my dad, and my son and I will have that game, and just all in time. So Gran Turismo 2 is pretty special game. It's definitely my favorite in the series. Gameplay is awesome. At the time, it was all about the replays, and it was all about, the visuals. The soundtrack was amazing. I mean, I can't say a bad thing about this game, even to this day. I'd still rather pick up and play Gran Turismo 2 than Gran Turismo 7, just because of how much time I put into this game. I do remember one thing in high school. It was the first Gran Turismo. I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they were putting down the game pretty hard, and I'm like, really? It's like, have you even played the game? And he goes, well, no, but the graphic style in the intros and the replays, it doesn't match the actual gameplay that you see on screen when you're playing the game. I'm like, well, yeah, because it's like an intro. And he goes, well, if it's not as good as that, then I'm not even going to bother. And I'm just like, you're missing out. And maybe eventually picked it up and played it, but I don't know. Gran Turismo 2, this is definitely probably one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. And I'm sure a lot of nostalgia has to do with that. But so thank you, Dad. I appreciate you thinking of me even when I wasn't thinking of you.